Maaser Sheni, Perek Gimel Mishnah Tet, 9th Mishnah in the 3rd chapter of Maaser Sheni. We have learned previously that once you bring Maaser Sheni to Yerushalayim, then you can't, once the produce enters into Yerushalayim, then you can no longer redeem it for money. You have to eat it. It has to be eaten in Yerushalayim. Okay? But the Gemara in Sanhedrin, which is the Sanhedrin Daf Kuf Yud Bet, says the following: if it becomes tamei, then even though it entered into Yerushalayim, you can be podeh. I'm just going to quote you the Braita, the relevant Braita. It says the Gemara. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Let's not make it so big that you can't see it. A little smaller. Okay. The Amar Rabbi Lezer, minayin the Maaser Sheni shenitma shepodino to afilu b'Yerushalayim. How do you know if you have Maaser Sheni that became tamei, then you can redeem it in Yerushalayim? Talmud Lamar lo tuchal se'eto ve'en se'et ela achila. What in the world is that talking about? Let's go back. If you remember, when we originally learned these Mishnayot, we learned at the very beginning, the introduction to these Mishnayot, we learned the pasuk the following. Okay? If it's too far away, let's say you have too much produce, kilo tuchal seito, you cannot carry it. Okay, because it's too far, blah, blah, blah. Then you can transfer to money. So that's the idea of pdiyah, of redeeming. Kilo tuchal seito, because you can't carry it. So Rabbi Lezer, the Gemara says, no, kilo tuchal seito has another meaning. When can you redeem it? Se'et, in our context, let's go back to the Gemara, means kilo tuchal se'eto. And se'et, the word se'et means achila, you can't eat it. Once it's inedible, Shneimar vayisa maseit me'et panav. You can look up that pasuk if you want. I don't know where it is. Okay, vayisa maseit, whatever maseit means, to eat it, to eat the food. From vayisa maseit, me'et panav. It's from Breshit. They took the food away from him. I think it's Yosef or Paro. Don't remember. Okay, probably Yosef. So the word se'et means to eat it. So therefore, when the Torah says ki lo tuchal se'eto, you can't eat it, that's when you can redeem it. So that also applies to Maaser Sheni that becomes tamei, because Maaser Sheni that becomes tamei cannot be eaten as Maaser Sheni. So therefore, what I can do is redeem it. I have produce that's tamei, that's Maaser Sheni in Yerushalayim. I redeem it, I transfer the kedusha to money, and then I can buy other Maaser Sheni with that kedusha and eat it b'tahara. Now the question is, our Mishnah is going to discuss is, what about the produce? What about the fruits itself? Once it enters into Yerushalayim, and now I transfer the money, I'm podeh. Do I still have to eat these fruits in Yerushalayim, or can I take them out as well? That's a machloket between Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel. One more thing, in order to understand our Mishnah, we have to understand the difference between what's called avatuma and vlad hatuma. So we've learned in Brachot, actually, Perek Chet Mishnah Bet, you can look back if you want, that there's different levels of tuma. We don't have to go through, we can go through all of them briefly, okay? The first level of tuma is called avi avot. That's a dead person, a dead body. Okay? If a dead person is touched by, if a person touches an avatuma, if you touch an av, or if you touch a zav, or a sheretz, a dead sheretz, a dead crawly, creepy, whatever, certain kinds of animals, you become an avatuma. If a person touches an avatuma, it becomes a rishon latuma. Person or kelim or vessels or anything. My iPhone. If I'm an avatuma, and I am because I have once touched a dead body, or I was in the same building as a dead body, I was a rabbi, what can you do? You're in the hospital. So now my cell phone is now rishon latuma. Okay? If my cell phone touches food or drink, they become a sheni latuma. And it goes on from truma and kachim. We'll get into this in great detail, really great detail, so you won't even forget it. But these are called avot atuma, avatuma. Since it's the av, this is the father of tuma, these are all from rishon down, it's called vladot hatuma. Okay? Vlad hatuma. And remember we said that if someone is a rishon, if he touches food or drink, or the food or drink touches something that's kadosh, like truma, they become shlishi latuma, etc. Those are called vladot latuma. So all of those apply to food and drink. So let's say, our Mishnah is going to talk about what kind of tuma does the Maaser Sheni become? Does it become av hatuma, or does it become vlad hatuma? So now we understand the difference between av and vlad hatuma, and we're going to see that there's a ramification, obviously, between Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel, okay, in this context. I made you a chart. You can go back and look at it if you want to understand the Mishnah, and we'll come back to it at the end. Maaser Sheni Yerushalayim v'nitma. Okay, Maaser Sheni that was brought into Yerushalayim, and it became tamei. Okay, the question is, when did it become tamei, as we'll soon see? Ben shenitma be'avatuma, whether it became tamei avatuma, which is a higher level of tuma. Ben shenitma bivlada tuma, whether it became tamei with a lower level of tuma. And the Bartanura says, we're just going to quote the Bartanura. Hai vlada tuma is taught the quotes in Yerushalayim. La vlada tuma shenaga be'avatuma. It's not talking about what I just told you. The vlada tuma, if it touched an av hatuma, rather, shu tamei mi deoraita, it's a deoraita tamei. Ela bevlada tuma derabanan. So it's based on the Yerushalmi. The pshat is not like this, but we'll just assume based on the Yerushalmi. We're talking about a vlada tuma. What's an example? Kigon shenav inagabe kelim shenitmu b'mashkim. We learned if a kli becomes liquid, it becomes wet. We've seen before. We actually saw this in brachot with the wine. If you're holding the wine glass in the machlok with Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel about washing hands, but you can look it up there. Okay? If you touch kelim that touched mashkin, that were tamei b'mashkin, then the food becomes rishon l'tuma v'lad hatuma derabanan. Anyway, okay. So in this case, let's go back to our Mishnah. Maaser Sheni that became into Yerushalayim and it became tamei. Ben shenitma ba'avatuma, whether it became tamei with the avatuma, a higher level of tamei. Ben shenitma bivlada tuma, it became tamei with a lower level of tuma. Ben bifnim, whether it became tamei after it came into Yerushalayim. Ben bachutz, whether it became tamei outside of Yerushalayim and then you bring it in. Beit Shammai omrim, Beit Shammai says yipadeh. Okay, you certainly have to be podeh, as we said. You can't eat it when it's tamei as maaser sheni. You have to be podeh. But veyeachel hakol bifnim. The fruits themselves, the produce cannot be taken out. Why? Because they were niklat. Remember, said they were absorbed. They had klita in Yerushalayim. Except chutz min shenitma be'avatuma b'chutz. Except for those produce that was tamei avatuma b'chutz. So let's look at our chart. It'll make it clearer. I find it clearer if you have a chart. So if it's nitma bifnim or nitma b'chutz, if it's nitma bifnim avatuma, once it's nitma bifnim, meaning you brought it in, it was still tahor, so that it had klita. And if it's idma b'chutz, Beit Shammai says, in this case, if it's vlada tuma, midoraita, remember the Bartanura says, it's vlada tuma derabanan, midoraita, it's still tahor. Therefore, it's yipadeh b'yochal bifnim. The only case Beit Shammai says that you have to eat it, you can eat it outside, you can take the produce out, is nitma b'avatuma b'chutz. Why? Outside, before it came into Yerushalayim, it was nitma b'avatuma, it was already tamei midoraita. In that case, the walls are not kolei. That's Beit Shammai's opinion. On the other hand, Beit Hillel omrim, Beit Hillel says, Hakol yipadeh v'yachel b'chutz. Everything you can yipadeh, you have to podeh, as we said before, whether it's av or vlad, etc. But you can eat all of it outside. Chutz mi shenitma b'vlada tuma bifnim. Other than that which nitma b'vlada tuma bifnim. So Beit Hillel says everything is yipadeh v'yachel b'chutz, except for if it was nitma b'vlada tuma, meaning it came in b'tahara and it only became tamei tuma d'rabanan. In that case, the walls are kolei. But if it came in b'tahara, but it became tamei be'avatuma, tamei midoraita, even in that case, Beit Hillel would say, once it's nitma, then you can be podeh, and the fruits are no longer niklat. The klita doesn't work, and you can take it and eat it even outside of Yerushalayim. All right, that's enough. It's a long Mishnah, a lot of introductions. We'll stop here. I'll dedicate the learning to the memory of my father, Rav Simcha ben Yitzchak Kalman. If you have any questions or comments, please email me at artsporter@gmail.com. Have a great day.